Thank you very much. You're welcome to today's round of the debate. Without wasting time, I would like to call on the first speaker, proposition to start the debate on the topic, this House would ban consumption of alcohol. Put your hands together for him.
Panel, ladies and gentlemen. In March 2016, over 30 people were apprehended, given 60 lashes plus 2 weeks detention for drinking an intoxicated liquor in Afghanistan. Other 12 countries have completely banned the consumption of alcohol, such as Saudi Arabia. Because, let's face it, over the years, research institutions and published papers have been trying to suggest policies that will limit the negative effects of consuming alcohol, such as age restriction, that is knowing who's allowed to take in alcohol and knowing who is not, and limiting the supply of these beverages. In fact, the World Health Organization even launched a program called SAFER in the developing countries and countries that have high population of alcohol consumers to try to raise awareness of the dangers of consuming alcohol. But yet, nothing is achieved, as alcohol consumption remains in the top 10 causative agents on global death, with records of 3.3 million in a single year. That's why Team Proposition believe that the ultimate solution to bring people to safety is by banning it entirely. How are you going to define alcohol consumption in this debate? We said that it's taking in any substance that contains methyl alcohol that is capable of having psychological effect or making a person to act less or more than a human, that is, putting a brain in the mode of non-normalcy. What's our stance? Because of the numerous health implications, alcohol-related death, car fatalities, and for the fact that alcohol consumption is a global and economic burden, Team Proposition believe that we must protect our citizens by imposing a ban. How are we going to implement this prohibition? As the government, we are going to pass a bill through the World Health Organization to Congress of countries to state to enact laws as the following. First, we're going to give the manufacturing facilities that produce alcoholic products 2 choices, because you're going to be fair and not make them lose their jobs at once. Ladies and gentlemen, it's either they should stop producing alcoholic beverages and turn back to producing drinks that people will consume without having any effects on their brain functionality, or if they're not going to adhere with that rule, they should shut down that facility. Secondly, we are going to impose a high fine or imprisonment of at least 1 year on anybody who is caught either present, I'll be there in a minute, either present or transporting alcoholic beverages. We got 2 burdens in this debate. First is to show that this policy is justified, and second is to show that it is the effective way to tackle the danger that consumption of alcohol presents. With that in mind, I'll present you 3 arguments. Before I proceed on the main point I'm going to discuss in today's debate, let me have a question.
You said you're going to stop companies from actually producing alcoholic beverages. They should go into something else, or they should shut down. That means, on Team Proposition, you're actually supporting unemployment.
We're not supporting unemployment because I'm going to be discussing that later in my argument. Because consumption of alcohol leads to serious problems in the brain, will lead to unproductivity. If it leads to unproductivity, it makes these people very, very inactive and make them lose their employment at once. So, because banning alcohol is going to stop those people from even getting to get the drink that they are going to take, to make them lose their focus and even lose their employment. So if we ban it, that is not going to happen. They're not going to lose their employment. That is the policy that we're trying to implement to tackle the unemployment that we're talking about. I hope I've answered your question. Okay, I'm going to talk about the legitimacy on our side, that is the government. Then I'll talk about the chronic health implications which leads to loss of productivity and then the negative impact on the economy. My second speaker is going to talk on how consumption of alcohol limits the life expectancy of people that take this kind of beverages, and how its addiction leads to poverty and poor life and poor state of life. While my heavy gun, which is the third speaker, is going to tackle all the points raised by the opposition team and give us complete analysis on why total prohibition is the best and necessary measure. This takes me to my post substantive, which is legitimacy. Panel, you will believe with me that liver is one of the most important and vital organs in the body. If we allow people to be consuming alcohol, it will create holes on the liver and lead to liver cirrhosis, which is going to simply end a person's life prematurely. Before I continue to talk about how chronic consumption of alcohol is in our health, I would like to take the argument on this case. Okay, team opposition might think people are very free and have freedom of choice to be allowed to drink whatever they want, and stopping them from doing that is like kind of infringement on the rights on that part of their fundamental human right. While as the government, we are standing here to say no to to say no to what they're going to think. Definitely. Well, I would like to use an analogy to solve this case. People feel more comfortable to drive around streets without having seatbelts on their body. But because the government knows that they are endangering themselves and endangering other commuters on the road, they necessitate the use of seatbelts on the road. So that means rights of people can be deprived. This is for the betterment of their own life. That's why we are banning alcohol. That alone legitimizes our model. Ladies and gentlemen, about how consumption of alcohol lead to chronic health problems, I'll be there in a minute. Lead to chronic health problems. It causes diseases, like I said in the first place, liver cirrhosis, damage to brain functionality, serious heart failure, and cancer. These are some of the major diseases that developing countries, that even the developed countries, are fighting nowadays. Okay, let's assume a person goes and carries a car key and start moving on the road or perform delicate operation. We all know what's going to happen, because it's not going to be a good thing. He's going to crash or either cause people to lose their lives. Cases of alcohol-related accidents are prevalent. We have seen those cases everywhere in Nigeria, in United States, in Malawi, and all over Africa. Recently, a doctor in India was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment for performing a surgery while he was drunk. Unfortunately for him, he forgot a scalpel while performing a thoracic surgery on a patient in the chest of a person. You see, this means alcohol consumption makes our roads very unsafe. They make our alcohol at risk, and they make our alcohol to be at risk, and the society very insecure. This takes me to my last one. This raised the question why government are voting in the first place. You vote in administration to protect you. You vote in government into office in order to do away with anything that is going to pose serious threat to your health. So, ladies and gentlemen, finally, what are we able to tell you in this debate? We told you that research institutions and government have been doing all they can to tackle alcohol problems, but to no avail. It has not achieved anything. They were not able to do that. That's why we are concerning ban. We are proposing ban as the ultimate solution, and we are able to justify that case. Lastly, it has negative impact on the economy, because the volume of goods and services that are supposed to be delivered are suffering sufficient shortage. Ladies and gentlemen, the rehabilitation of these people is costing government billions of dollars to cover them. Like according to National Institute of Alcohol and Alcoholism in the United States alone used $185 billion to curb the problem of alcohol consumption related problem. So you see, at the end, what I want team opposition to give me is a comprehensive account of how alcohol is served to drink and how it doesn't cause any problem in the society as has never throughout history. If at the end of this argument they are not able to provide that for us, definitely we assume that we believe that we won this debate. So we told you, we justified our policy that I presented, how I also discussed how alcohol leads to chronic health problems and its negative impacts on the economy, with all the points I raised. Incredibly proud to propose.
Thank you very much, the first speaker proposition. And now to continue the debate on behalf of side opposition, please make welcome with a big round of applause the first speaker.
As team opposition, we believe that a ban is an ineffective way to curb the effects of alcohol consumption. We believe that it will lead to the bulldozing of human rights, increase in crime rates, and human misery. And as the government today, we have pillars of our model, which are harm reduction, prevention, treatment, and enforcement. Under this, governments of countries will do the following. They will start awareness campaigns, they will give patients management and treatment, they will give social integration, better physical and mental health, they will assign more traffic officers, and they'll offer better employment and housing to people. So now in today's debate, I'll be talking about how the ban will be ineffective, and secondly, how we're going to win our victory against this war. While my second speaker will be talking on the infringement of human rights, the negative effects the alcohol ban will have on the country's economy, and my third speaker will be addressing the major clash points in today's debate. Now, first of all, before we get into the debate, the first speaker said that we should come and say things about alcohol, harms that alcohol doesn't cause. Now, this debate today is not whether or not alcohol causes harm. We all agree that there is some kind of harm that alcohol causes to human beings. But what we are arguing today is the ban the solution? Is it the ultimate solution, or are there other solutions? We on team opposition are saying there are other solutions and we don't actually want your ban. Yes, please.
Okay, if you say that you believe that alcohol of course causes harm, we think that the solutions that we provided as the total prohibition of alcohol is the best. How are we going to respond to that?
Okay, now I'm going to be giving rebuttals on that question. And now I'm going to be starting with their policy. Now, he said that the ban is the ultimate solution. Number one, he said that the WHO, the World Health Organization, is actually going to be the one responsible for this ban. Now, let me tell you, the World Health Organization is not responsible for actually giving legal laws to countries. The only thing they do is basically to regulate. They are not responsible for giving laws and giving sanctions for other countries to be. That is not the responsibility of the World Health Organization. And even if the WHO peradventure can do this, which they cannot, this is what is going to happen. The legal system of every country won't be able to keep up with this. That means even if we catch these people, even if we find them to be wanted as criminals, who is going to be responsible for the legal system that is actually going to arrest these people and take them to prison? That means the ban cannot work. On that point. And not all countries are actually going to agree to this ban from the WHO, because there are several countries that actually gain from the production of alcohol and actually give employment to their citizens through the production of alcohol. And several people would not also ban alcohol due to their religious practices in Buddhism and whatever state. So now he was talking about how alcohol was banned in several nations. He only made mention of Islamic countries. And let me tell you where the issue with that is. The issue with that is that even in those Arab countries, there is no ban on non-Muslims. That is to show you that the non-Muslims still bring alcohol into that country and actually find a way to get Muslims to still take this alcohol. That means the ban can never work in any case. Now they are only encouraging unemployment, telling us to shut down companies, and this will not work. People already know that they are soft beverages and they still want to take alcohol for reasons best known to them.
Point of information.
So now, I'm going to be talking on my first point, which is the ban will be ineffective. Team proposition believes that if there is no alcohol in our society, there will be no problem, but that is very wrong. I'm going to be using the Prohibition era as a case study. The Prohibition era is a period within the 1920s and 1933 where the United States government declared a total ban on alcohol production, importation, and every other thing. But do you know what happened during that period? Crime rate increased by 24%. Drunkenness and drunk driving increased by 21%, murder rates by 78%, and several other criminal rates were just on the increase. This is to show you that there is no actual link between a ban and the criminal rate. So now, this works on the principle of demand and supply. Once a commodity is in demand, definitely people will always find a way to supply it. Over 86% of Americans currently take alcohol. Are they trying to tell me that once they ban alcohol, they are now criminalizing over the 86% of people that take alcohol in the United States of America? That means we're going to have a whole lot of people in prisons, ladies and gentlemen. So now, this also gives room for criminals to actually make homemade liquor and actually dilute industrial liquor, which is actually wrong and harmful. This homemade liquor causes accidents, makes people even more high, leads to blindness and paralysis. We believe that team proposition is just leaving citizens in harm's way. So now we believe it is not justified for team proposition to leave citizens in harm's way. Because, for example, Al Capone during the Prohibition era made $60 million from the sales of illegal alcohol. And what were citizens earning? Hardworking citizens, they were earning just $1,000 annually. We feel this is not fair on team proposition. Now, secondly, my second point, our victory against this war. Not everyone abuses alcohol, but the people that abuse alcohol are real people with real problems. Some of them just want to feel good because they have so many crises that they are going through. Some of them are suffering from depression, and some of them are suffering from unemployment. If Team Proposition cannot give us employment, they cannot tackle drug abuse that we still have in our society, they cannot tackle several other problems that we have in our society, we feel that they are not competent enough to actually tackle the ban on alcohol. For example, some people might just want to take their lives and commit suicide because they feel life doesn't have any meaning to them anymore. That is the same thing that happens with people that abuse alcohol, because they are depressed, they are unemployed, they don't know what to do with their lives again, and that is why they take alcohol in excess just so that they can feel good for a few minutes. We believe that we should help these people. We believe we shouldn't just ban this thing. If we ban this thing, what happens to these people? They become criminals, because one way or the other, they will still try to get their hands on alcohol. We believe we should help these people. These are real people with real problems. In the 1980s, Switzerland had the highest rate of HIV infections because of heroin injections that people actually used. What did they do? What they did was that they actually introduced public health. They actually started giving people heroin in hospitals. They actually started giving them beds and showers. And what did this do? It led to a 70% drop in HIV rates. That is to show you that if you actually show people care, if you actually do the right thing that we're supposed to do, we're going to help society. And as Team Proposition, we have already told you what we are going to do. We said we're going to start awareness campaigns. We will create patient management and treatment. We will give social integration of these citizens. We'll provide better physical and mental health. We'll assign more traffic officers. We'll give more employment, education, and housing. On Team Opposition, we're actually giving you the best of both worlds. We're actually reducing the harms of alcohol and alcoholism, and we're actually giving people another chance to live, ladies and gentlemen. When we learned that there was an increase in HIV/AIDS in our society, what did we do? Did we ban HIV? No. Did we ban sex? No. What we did was that we actually started regulating these things. We actually started giving free HIV tests. We actually started helping people. We actually started stopping breastfeeding mothers, HIV/AIDS patients, to stop breastfeeding their children so that they will not be mother-to-child transfusion. We actually helped these people. This is what we should do in our society. We should help these people and create a better society for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the first speaker, opposition, for a wonderful argument. And now to continue the debate on behalf of side proposition, please put your hands together for the second speaker.
Okay, first of all, I would love to bring the first opposing speaker to the right track. You said that we are not talking about the dangers of alcohol. You are aware of it. But you believe with me that in the first place is the dangers that are attached with the consumption of alcohol that is attracting us to say that we are going to ban its consumption. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that in the course of the arguments raised by the opposition, first speaker from the opposition team, she overlooked or did not even bother to talk about the dangers that are attached with the consumption of alcohol. And these are very critical and serious issues, and it's the reason why we, the government, see it as we see it to be legitimate to ban its consumption. Now, ladies and gentlemen, she said that they're going to create. They will embark on an awareness campaign. But you believe with me that the people that consume alcohol are so much aware of the dangers that are attached with its consumption. It hasn't changed their mindset towards its consumption. And also, ladies and gentlemen, you see, she made mention of the fact that these people, as long as they have problems that come to their mind, like maybe they are being depressed or other issues, they will always want to lay their hands on alcohol in order to solve those emotional problems they are having. But you believe with me that in that case, taking in alcohol is bringing more problems to their problems. You see, this alcohol intake brings about a lot of health implications like liver damage, kidney issues. It damages your nerves and other problems. You did not look at that issue. And if I'll tell you, if only we want to solve this issue or make these people stay away from alcohol, the best solution is to ban it. Because it is said that out of sight is out of mind. Considering people who are addicted to alcohol, people that cannot be able to do without alcohol, I don't know if there is any other way in which we can tackle their problem other than taking alcohol out of their sight. And also, you see, in as much as these people have a right or privileges they enjoy in their country, we also as the government stand a better chance of protecting their rights, not just their rights, the rights of those around them. Because if we are considering an alcohol-related accident, probably innocent victims can be involved in that accident, and then you see they lost their lives. And that leads me to my first point, which is limiting of life expectancy. No thanks. Now, in a country like Nigeria, the life expectancy is probably between 60 to 70 years. For a teenager who will start taking alcohol from the age of 14, you will not tell me that he can live up to an expected age, because in due time he will develop some health issues among other problems. And this is the reason why we consider it legitimate to ban its consumption. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, it is said that we are encouraging unemployment. But in our model, here our stance, we make mention of the fact that we are going to give these companies choices. It's either they stop producing alcoholic beverages or they shut down their facilities. In this case, if they would choose not to produce alcoholic beverages, that means employment will still be there. Let me have a question.
Yeah, when you say you are going to give the companies choice between either allowing or continuing to produce alcohol or not, is that really a choice if you are going to impose it upon them? And considering that we are actually in a democratic setting, is that a fair choice?
You see, if only these companies would decide not to produce alcoholic beverages, then maybe we will not put the ban, because the problem there is the alcoholic beverages. We don't want its consumption. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I know you'll be tempted to ask a question like, is the ban the ultimate solution? Of course, the ban is the ultimate solution, because creating of awareness did not work. People are aware of the dangers. And also, they make mention of alcohol banning is going to affect the country economy. But then, ladies and gentlemen, you believe with me that government place a high tax on alcoholic beverage companies in order to increase the price. They're all trying to minimize its consumption, to make it expensive for people to be less affordable, to be unable or to reduce the rate at which alcohol is being afforded. And that was why they placed a high tax on these alcoholic beverages, to be able to minimize its consumption. Because you believe with me that even if they are generating revenue from alcoholic beverage companies, when it comes to tackling these health problems, they will spend more than what they are getting. And that is why you consider it legitimate to ban its consumption. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that consumption of alcohol leads to addiction. And this addiction leads to poverty, especially for people who are not economically buoyant. When they get addicted to alcohol, they will always want to lay their hands on alcohol. And in as much as alcohol is within their reach, they will always want to get it by all means. The best solution here is banning the existence of alcohol. Otherwise, if in our generation we have a 14-year-old person taking alcohol, generations to come, the age will be reducing 13, 12, 11, and so on. And that is not what we want. We want a healthy society. We as the government are after the welfare and well-being of the society. And that is why we consider it legitimate to ban its consumption. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, we see alcohol comes with drunkenness. And this drunkenness also comes with negative sins like rape. A father who is drunk can, since he's lacking self-control, can probably rape his own daughter or mercilessly beat his wife. You also talked about alcohol-related accidents. You're aware of it. If only, the WHO gave us a data of alcohol-related accidents ranging from 58% to 1% in different countries. Now let's take this country that has about 58% of alcohol-related accidents. If only we are going to ban its consumption, don't you think the rate at which accidents occur in that country would drastically reduce? She also made mention of the fact that we are thinking that banning of alcohol is going to solve some of the problems we are having in our society. But then, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that there are other problems that are arising in the society, but alcohol is a major issue. In our today's debate, we are trying to tackle alcohol. After all, if we want to solve the social vices we are having in our country, it is said that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. And what we are starting with now is the consumption of alcohol. Maybe in other debates, we'll talk about how to ban consumption of drugs and other things. But for today, we'll consider alcohol due to its numerous health implications. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that the ban is the ultimate solution because we've tried all other methods. increasing the price of alcohol, it did not stop people from consuming alcohol, and also creating awareness has not in any way changed the minds of its consumers. And for the fact that these people, the problems that are arising from such cases does not only affect them, it affects people around them. And we are after their welfare and well-being and healthy society. We as the government consider it legitimate to ban its consumption. Looking at the health, the problems that come with alcohol also as leading to poverty, addiction, liver cancer, among other issues, I am proud to propose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the second speaker proposition. Now to continue the debate on behalf of side opposition, please make welcome the second speaker.
You see, you can't have a functional debate when you twist and muddy the truth of certain issues. That's why I agree when you said that alcohol has risks and side effects. But what we need to agree with is the fact they say that the only way we could actually solve these problems put forward by alcohol is to place a ban on its consumption. We reject that on our side of the house. I'm going to give you substantiated reasons as to why we think the shallowness of that their policy would only lead to a nationwide disaster. They say they tried all these methods. Do you know what you didn't try? Our policy is able to solve these problems that you think that you can't actually solve in the long run. Okay, what are these problems that we think these ban on consumption of alcohol will actually cause? First, it's actually going to infringe on the rights of the individual. Second, it's actually going to have a negative effect on the country's economy. Why do we think it's actually going to infringe on the rights and stumble upon it? Is that not every single person who actually consumes alcohol abuses it. The government shouldn't dictate how an individual should live their life. Someone should be paying for someone else's irresponsible act on the name of your ban. We reject that. Besides, we have many religions that actually practice these consumption of alcohol to actually connect to their rituals. So are you trying to tell us that you want to also ban these people from consuming alcohol and stopping them from practicing their religion? Ladies and gentlemen, let's give, for example, we have the shamanic ritual, who actually uses these alcohol to connect to the afterlife. We have other religious practices that involve alcoholism, like Buddhism, like Taoism, like Hinduism, Judaism, Shinto, finally people of Cameroon. These people are not only in one part of the world, they're in every single part of the world. Is Team Opposition trying to tell us that they want to ban consumption of alcohol in every single place where these people constitute like half of the population of the world's population? Ladies and gentlemen, this would only increase crime. Team Opposition can't justify the fact that these people are going to increase crime rates because they're going to smuggle these alcohol too. Because they say that actually these alcohol actually is not going to cause these ban on consumption of alcohol. It's not going to cause problems. Do you know the problems that these ban on consumption of alcohol is going to cause? It's going to cause hate crimes. The crime that they're trying to protect in that side of the house also is going to cause health risk issues. Why? Because these people are going to turn to other forms of drugs, which is more difficult to actually solve. That's not justified in that side of the house. Yes.
You said the ban of alcohol is going to cause crime rates. Well, from the example your first speaker gave, that happened in the 1990s. Sorry to inform you, but we are in the 2000s. And in the 2000s, Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan have already banned alcohol, and they have no such problems as what you're mentioning. And secondly, I have the right to movement, but would you find it justifiable if I walked into your house and helped myself to your fridge because I had the right to movement?
Good question, that's how. I'm going to answer your question. Because you said that these people are actually going to have rights. Yes, but you can't infringe on the rights of this individual on the name of your man. It's not going to work because it's going to increase the rent. Yes, my first speaker has spoken that it's actually going to increase the crime rate. Yes, because these people are going to smuggle this alcohol, which is not justifiable. That you people are going to ban this consumption of alcohol. I hope I answered your question. Also, we tell you that it has a negative effect on the country's economy. First, alcoholics will turn to other forms of drugs. Do you think that these alcoholics actually would they don't know what they want. These people want these alcohol, not the soft drink that you want them to actually take. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not good on that side of the house. They're just talking about the problems that actually these alcohol causes. What they didn't tell about is how these bans are actually going to solve the problems put forward by these alcohol. But that's why we bring these policies in order to solve the problems that actually these alcohol
Point
causes.
of information.
Also, they say that people who are alcoholics are interested in soft drinks. Do you know why? These people aren't interested in soft drinks because these people are depressed. What we need to do is to find answers to these people's characters, to find answers to why these people are actually taking this alcohol, and not to impose soft drinks for them to actually take it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be talking about how gangs and cartels will reign, as alcohol will actually solve the problems, will actually be sold and bought illegally, i.e. from black market, which actually would increase and spawn the crime they're trying to protect in their side of the house. Money ought to be used for all the important issues, are going to also be channeled into ban-related problems, of which I've listed. Alcoholics wouldn't actually take these soft drinks that you're saying. Rather, what they would do is that they would try to turn to other dangerous alternatives, like homemade liquor, which has been found to actually cause these blindness and methanol poison, which is actually dangerous than the normal actual alcohol that that they're selling in the market. Ladies and gentlemen, we have, for instance, in Maharashtra, India, we have 94 people who have actually lost their life due to the consumption of toxic liquor. Do you know why these people consume this toxic liquor? Because they didn't have an option. Because they saw that this alcohol is actually not available. That's why they lost this debate. People working on these firms, as we said, are going to be forced to quit their jobs. Do you know how this is going to be? Do you know how this is going to work? These alcoholic firms are actually employing thousands of workers. They're actually employing thousands of workers, of which they're working under these firms. Is Team Proposition trying to tell us they want thousands of individuals to actually lose their jobs and go hungry on the name of ban on consumption of alcohol? Second speaker said she was so of the excitement of saying that these people are actually going to that this ban on consumption of alcohol is the major problems in the country. Do you know what the major problems in the country? We're talking about hungers of children. We're talking about innocent children who are going hungry. We're talking about unemployment. Thousands of people going from helter skelter, not able to get jobs and not able to satisfy their family. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a complete violation of human rights. That's a complete ban. That's a complete problem that they're trying to. They think they're actually solving on their side of the house. Also, we told you the gangs and cartels are going to reign. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, these gangs and cartels are going to sell these alcohol illegally, as we said. Despite my hatred for alcohol, I still do not think that this ban on consumption of alcohol is going to be very effective and it's a wise thing to do. Ladies and gentlemen, for that reason, we oppose.
Thank you very much, second speaker, opposition. You have tried well, despite this is your first formal debate. Now to continue the debate on behalf of Team Proposition, please put your hands together for the third speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this debate today, the one thing that the Team Opposition have failed to attack is the issue of health problem. If assuming the policy they're proposing is going to work, how are they going to tackle the issues of health? Because they are encouraging the continuity of consumption of alcohol. Then these people that are going to continue drinking them, because we know either low drinking or high drinking cause health issues. Then how are we going to tackle them? They've not told us if they are going to make an immune drug that is going to make their system immune to alcohol. They've not given us any solution. Then, ladies and gentlemen, they keep on emphasizing that today we are not here to debate if alcohol has negative effects, because we all know they have negative effects. But the reason why we're having this debate today is because of the negative effects. So we think it is worth mentioning. So they cannot come here and tell us that we shouldn't mention the negative negative effects because they already know there are negative effects. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker said that in our model, we said that the World Health Organization is going to pass the law to countries. Well, she wasn't listening because we said the World Health Organization is going to pass the law through legislators and Congress of countries. They're not going to pass the law themselves because they do not have that power. They will have to go through legislative of countries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they keep on emphasizing on this issue that ban of alcohol is going to increase the rate of death, violence, and stuff like that. But right now, Afghanistan has banned alcohol. Saudi Arabia has banned alcohol, but we do not have records of this problem because the ban has proved effective. People's lives are being saved. Then, ladies and gentlemen, they mentioned the issue of addiction. Now, what are we going to do to these people? It's actually funny that the third speaker said they only take it because they do not have the second speaker said they take it because they do not have any other option. They are depressed. I don't know if he's encouraging suicide or what, but according to what he said, what I see here is that they only care about the money. They are looking after the revenue that alcohol is generating, which I would like to point out that it doesn't make sense because the revenue that alcohol generates, it consumes. The US spent $249 billion on alcohol misuse, on rehabilitation, car fatalities, health issues of alcohol. So what is the use when the money you gain, you spend on the same thing? So we do not see any way that their policy is going to be effective to this case today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they keep on. The second speaker talked about the issue of economy. He said that the economy is going to affect the economy badly. Well, according to National Institute of Alcohol and Alcoholism, an estimated of 88,000 people die every year from the use from alcohol consumption. So what do we do about the death of these people? Are we going to continue allowing our people to die because we are getting revenue from alcohol that we still spend on alcohol? We do not see the point from team opposition. Then he kept on emphasizing on the issues of rights that were infringing. As the government, we also have a right to protect our citizens. We cannot every right is limited. That is the truth. Every right has its limit. We cannot allow you to harm yourself because you have a right. Like the question I asked, which he failed to answer, would it be justified if I helped myself into your house because I had the freedom of movement? It is not justifiable. It is a crime. Even though I have the freedom of movement, it is restricted. Every right is restricted. And in this case, this particular problem is killing people, millions of people, including children, because it affects the society as a whole, not only the individual taking that alcohol. According to statistics, all violent activities in the world a large portion, is associated with alcoholism, and the risk of child maltreatment, family physical abuse, and rape, gun violence, it is all attributed to alcohol. So, ladies and gentlemen, the car fatalities, the deaths, what are we going to do about them? They've not given us an effect, they've not given us a way to counter all these problems. And we from the team proposition have already proved an obvious way, simply to ban it. When we ban, all problems associated with alcohol will cease. Even though we admit even though we admit that alcohol is not the only reason that causes these problems, this death, it has a major hand. Imagine alcohol is the third leading death cause in the world. It's the third leading, and it can be stopped. So we're going to keep allowing our people to die at a high rate because they have the right. Excuse me, I'll begin in a minute. Are we going to keep allowing our people to die because they have the right to drink what they want? And then they talk about employment. That when we close down this company, we're going to cause unemployment. But ladies and gentlemen, like we said in our model, we're going to give them a choice. The ball is now in their court. We told them it's either you start producing sodas and drinks that don't have alcohol, or you shut down and look for something else. We are being fair here, We're being fair here. We cannot allow people to keep dying for you to survive. You alone as a company for your own pocket. Before I move further, your question.
Now, you said that we're supposed to we're supposed to be debating the harms of alcohol. Ladies and gentlemen, we feel this would be an unfair debate if we're supposed to be debating on the harms of alcohol.
Thank you for misquoting me. I said the negative effects of alcohol is the reason why we are holding this debate today. Because if alcohol doesn't pose any danger, then what is the point of having this discussion? Excuse me. That is the point of having this. What is the point of having this discussion? So it is worth mentioning. It is a point. We are trying to prove that alcohol actually has negative effects. That is why we are having this discussion. And if we don't give the discussion, if it doesn't have negative effect, there is no point. So you cannot say we should not mention the negative effect. So ladies and gentlemen, how they kept asking this question, how is the ban going to solve everything? We from the team proposition actually think it's pretty obvious. When you ban it, all problems cease. The necessity of the ban has already been proved because deaths, car fatalities, health issues, just in case you don't know, alcohol has related to over 100 health issues. Drinking, even on low drinking or misuse, you still have, it's not risk-free, that's the problem. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it is a global burden. 33.3 million deaths, that is 5.9% of all global deaths every year because of alcohol. We've proven a clear alternative. We've proven that it is the ultimate and it is a necessity in order to save our citizens as the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we are to take it from the way this debate has gone today, the team proposition has done a better job at giving us an alternative, and with that we believe that we have won this debate. So, ladies and gentlemen, due to the numerous health implications, alcohol-related deaths, car fatalities, and the fact that alcohol consumption is a global and economic burden, we as the government have to protect our citizens by imposing a ban. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we rest our case.
Thank you very much, the third speaker proposition. And now to continue the debate on behalf of side opposition, please put your hands together for the third speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's stop guessing at the solution to this problem. Let us use the effective or the correct evidence that history has already given unto us. Because we can't solve these problems with the same thinking that we have used to create these problems. We have to come up with new solutions and new ways of attacking this problem. Now, this whole debate has revolved around 3 questions. One, is a ban an effective way of solving these problems? Number 1, is it even an effective way? Before we now talk about, is it the ultimate solution? Now, number 2, what is the real cause of addiction in general? What is the real cause of alcoholism? And then number 3, is there a better or more effective way of solving these problems than using forceful and outright bans? Now, before I even go on to answer these questions, let me address some issues with your debate or with your line of reasoning. Now, you are making the assumption, the blatant assumption that a ban must work, while you can see clearly from history that bans do not work. For example, from the 1970s, we have been banning drug abuse. We have been banning the use of hard drugs. Until this day, drug abuse is still a major problem. In fact, do you know how effective the U.S. government's strategies are in stopping drug abuse? 1%. That is how much they are able to block the coming in of drugs from outside the country. Now, okay, we have given you an example of Switzerland. We have given you Geneva, Zurich, and Frankfurt, where they used our principles, the 4 pillars of drug solutions, and these problems have been able to be reduced drastically. Now, if this strategy has been used for heroin addiction, are you trying to tell us that it will not be effective for alcohol? We are trying to tell you that economics places limits to fantasies. You can't just stand up anywhere and just say, this is what we want, so we are going to do whatever we need to do just to arrive at that solution. Economics actually places limits, and by the economic law of supply and demand, there's no how you can completely eliminate the demand for a substance by simply cutting off the supply.
Point of information.
Yes.
You said, looking at history, that the banning of alcohol consumption have not stopped the high rate of crimes and all. Well, can you kindly stop looking at history and look at what is happening now? We've given you insights of Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia. They ban alcohol, they have no such problems. Those problems have been tackled because that was in the past. And secondly, you've made mention of alcohol.
Thank you very much. Now, Winston Churchill, who is one of the greatest military strategists in the world has made a quote. He said that the further into the past that you can look, the further into the future that you can see. And you should not assume that simply because something happened in the past, it will not happen again today. The problems that we have been facing and the way that humans have been thinking and applying and going about their daily activities is still the same way. It is still the same psychology. And if you think that psychology has changed, you will be very surprised if you try to implement all these laws. Now, you are bringing up issues of Islamic countries, Afghanistan, all these countries. Now, the reason, if any source that you are going to find out or go do your research, it will tell you that the reasons why these things work in these countries is because of the strict religious adherence in these countries. In these countries, Islam is the state religion already. Now, if you are going to apply any, if you are going to state any law that is banning alcohol completely, everyone will go along with you. But even in these countries, when they have tourists coming from outside, they don't ban them from taking alcohol. In the same way, when they have non-Muslims among them, they don't ban these people from taking alcohol. So as you can see, this thing will not work. Now, we are now telling you that most of the world is not having Islam as a state religion. And most of the world doesn't operate under a communist or dictatorship state of government. So because of that, we believe that it is far easier for us to reduce the harm that is caused by alcohol than to try to solve it through brute force. And besides, from the prohibition and many other instances throughout history, it has shown that trying to force people to do something without giving them an incentive or even helping them to do it will only result in an increase of defiance and intolerance. As my first speaker has already given a lot of reasons and a lot of evidence about how the instances of drunkenness, about the instances of drunk driving increasing as a result of the ban. And besides, why do you think that after this ban was lifted up, the people continued as they were before? Why is it that the ban was not able to reform them? This is a ban on alcohol for up to 10 years. I trying to tell me that the period of 10 years is not enough to readjust people's way of thinking regarding alcohol. That is not true. Now, within your model or argument, you cannot deny the fact that there are exceptions and there will always be loopholes. Now, even within the prohibition, we saw the examples of how these loopholes brought about more problems. For example, during the prohibition, they stated that nobody should consume or even transport alcohol. And because of the fact that the US is not just made up of one state, it's made up of different states, there were people that were loose on their laws, there were people that were more strict on their laws. And what did that create? It created a lot of problems because even places where the laws were loose, the people continued drinking as much as usual. Now, I don't tell me that you are going to enforce the laws in such a way that all the countries in the world are going to now adhere to it strictly. Besides, even if you are giving that suggestion to the Congress has to sit together and then agree on it. If all of Congress is unable to come to an agreement, that law cannot be passed in that country. Thank you very much. Let me move on. It is very important for us to realize that when we are talking about drug addiction or alcohol dependency, we are referring to human beings. Human beings are not robots. You can't just say, okay, everybody should stop doing this thing and expect everybody to comply. Everyone actually behaves based on how much he thinks is going to benefit or not benefit. And all alcoholics know that refusing, even no matter how much patriotic they are to their country, if they stop taking alcohol, they are going to have withdrawal symptoms. So there's no how they are going to follow into what we are applying to. Besides, up to 86% of the US population, to take an example, depends or use alcohol in one way or the other. I'm not trying to say you are going to now impose punishment upon all these people at the same time. This is not going to work. So, besides, an old experiment was carried out where a rat was kept in a cage alone and then given the choice of either to take water or to take alcohol. And then without any exception, the rat always took from the alcohol and then became obsessed with it and died from it. But in a place where the rat was exposed to other rats, where they had community, it had balls to play with, tunnels to dig through, and a lot of fun to have. At the end of the day, it did not depend on, it never, without exception, it did not become dependent on the alcohol. So that is to tell us that it is not just the fact that we are banning or we are not banning alcohol. From free will, if you have a connection with other people around us, if you are not happy, if you are happy with the work that we do, if you are happy with the people that we find ourselves with, we would not be addicted to some of these negative effects. So it is more important for us to find ways to show love to these people who are having addictions, and then try to help them, because most of these people who are addicted actually intend to solve the problem, but they don't know how, and we intend to help them step by step and gradually to solve these problems. So because of that reason, we believe that it is more important for us to develop connection with these alcoholics than to completely push them away and say that they must stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the third speaker, opposition. And now to conclude the debate for the opposition side, please put your hands together for reply speaker.
So now, first of all, I'd like to clear some issues. We actually paraphrased what majority of what team proposition says, because we don't actually have a recording device to record and replay what they said and exactly quote it. So we're actually paraphrasing what they are saying with the key points of what they said in our speeches. So now, my first thing I want to address in today's debate is the purpose of this debate. Firstly, team proposition for me brought an unfair definition of this debate, saying that we're actually supposed to be debating the harms. We cannot debate facts, ladies and gentlemen. Something exists, it exists. We know that there are harms. We know that there are problems. The title of this motion is, this House will ban the consumption of alcohol. Our major issue here is on the banning of the alcohol, not on the harms of alcohol, ladies and gentlemen. So now we believe that if they tell us that we should argue on the harms of alcohol, then that means we don't have a debate here today, ladies and gentlemen, because we all know that harms exist, and we cannot come here and start opposing, no, harms do not exist, because they actually exist. We cannot debate facts. So now, the main debate as well is that we're supposed to actually look for solutions for our society. Team proposition has only been glorifying the problems that we have in our society. We believe that this is wrong. They've not solved anything. They've only glorified the problems that we have. So now, basically, paraphrasing them again, the ideology is once we don't have alcohol in our society, we don't have problems. All problems we see. But now we've told you that, first of all, there are more problems in society that we need to tackle first. We have societal problems like world hunger, we have terrorism, we have unemployment. These are problems we should be tackling first, and not adding alcohol to the list of our problems. Not adding alcoholic criminals to the list of our problems. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not agree with team proposition. And first of all, they kept on giving us examples of Arab nations. And the reason why the ban on alcohol would work on Arab nations was because because of their religious beliefs, and that is why it is working for them. But despite that, I also told you ways it still doesn't work, because even till now they still have arrests of people that actually drink alcohol in the United States, in Afghanistan, like they've also said. Now I want them to come and show us non-Islamic countries. They should come and show us mixed countries that these things have actually worked in. Now we gave you examples of mixed countries like the United States, and it didn't work in those countries. How is it going to work in other countries, ladies and gentlemen? We believe it's not going to work. It didn't work before, it's not going to work now, and it's never going to work. So now, basically, they haven't actually linked the ban to any harm. They give us examples of life expectancies, that as long as you take alcohol, your life expectancy is supposed to reduce. But there are other things that reduce our life expectancy, ladies and gentlemen. We have global warming as well that reduces people's life expectancies. So we feel we should also address this problem and not add to our piles of problems that we have already in society. Now, the most important part, their policy. Their policy already can never work in this society. They said the WHO will work through legislators and Congress. How many countries are going to agree with this, ladies and gentlemen? They've not told us the countries that are going to willingly agree with this. We told you that 86% of Americans actually take alcohol. Will all the 86% agree that, okay, let's ban alcohol? It will not work, ladies and gentlemen, and we have proved it to you. If they want to keep arresting people, the legal system cannot keep up. And they will have so many people in prisons. Is that what team proposition wants for our society? We don't want prisoners, we want to help people in our society. So now, what did we tell you in our own case as team proposition? We told you about the root problems in our society, and our model actually solves the root problems. We told you about giving employment. We told you about more infrastructure for our society. We told you about more officers. These are things that will actually help us solve the root problems. We told you about how the ban will be ineffective, We told you about our victory against this war. We told you about how this will infringe on human rights, and some religions actually believe in using alcohol. We also told you about the negative effect that the ban of alcohol will cause on a country's economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this motion should fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the reply speaker, side opposition. And now to conclude today's round of debate, please make welcome with a round of applause the reply speaker proposition.
Sorry, it doesn't take a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, why do we have this debate in the first place? We have this debate to find ways that we're going to protect people from the danger that alcohol presents. Some opposition kept telling us that we're being unfair to them to talk of the harms of alcohol as the reasons that we need to ban it. They are trying to suggest other alternatives that we're going to tackle alcohol with no banning, which has actually proved very, very ineffective because they're just putting around the bush without giving us any solution because we believe that they don't have nothing more to add in this debate. The first strategic mistake that team opposition did in this debate is admitting that alcohol, of course, has harms. Okay, so you are saying we should leave those dangers that alcohol presents to the global community, to other lesser problems that can actually be tackled later. We gave you the gravity of the dangers that alcohol presents. Okay, you are admitting alcohol leads to premature death, accident, but we shouldn't discuss it. That's the reason why we are discussing. You need to prove us wrong before you can say we shouldn't talk about the harm. We should be talking about the ban. And if you are talking about our policy, we showed you how our policy is going to work. We told you through our third speaker that WHO is not a body for making legal laws, but rather they are going to pass a bill to Congress of countries to consider that. And of course, countries will look at what is good for their citizens and do it. So we're simply bringing people to safety. We told you that crimes caused by individuals influenced by alcohol consumption put a strain in criminal justice. So you see, the United States alone, they are spending billions of dollars to tackle this kind of problem. And also, domestic violence and incidents, if both the victim and the offender are wrong, we've seen cases where a father raped his daughter. We've seen cases where a wife set their house ablaze because she took intoxicating liquor. These are the problems we are telling you. You cannot say, oh, we shouldn't talk about this and just talk about other problems. Of course, the second speaker told you for today's debate, we are talking about the problems of alcohol and ways of banning it. And we believe that our policy have done everything to bring justice to what we said. They also talk about the issue of unemployment. That if we say, okay, we are not giving manufacturing facilities choice to either consider stop producing alcohol to other beverages. Of course, we're trying to keep the unemployment rate very low. That's why we give them a choice. And if we were going to employ the tactics of dictatorship, we'll just shut it down. But by being fair, we are giving them a choice. So we're not taking out their employment. So you need to take that into your scope. Ladies and gentlemen, the first government, that is Mrs. Joy, she said even if people get no access to alcohol, they will still try to get their hands on that alcohol, so they are stirring up the rate of crimes in war. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the issue of security. Government are responsible for their own country's border security, not making their borders very porous. For example, Singapore are almost crime-free because they are very, very conscious about their security. So if you are implementing law that is going to ban alcohol completely, it's not like you are creating crime. If already you have security, your Ministry of Defense is doing all it can to keep your citizens very safe. Ladies and gentlemen, why do we win this debate? We want this debate. We believe that we want this debate because we are able to address the clash point, which is the rights of the people, about infringement the right of the people and bringing them to safety. They said that we are going to infringe the right of these people because these people actually get the relief from drinking alcohol. We also told you through our third speaker that we also, as the government, have the right to put to deprive those rights if you're actually going to harm yourself. She told you, she gave you an example of freedom of movement. The fact that everybody has freedom of movement doesn't mean you should do trespassing. Definitely. So it's because of the safety, for the safety of the people that we're doing that. I give you the example of seatbelt analogy. People feel very comfortable to drive around without having seatbelts. Of course, the government banned it because they are endangering themselves. So we believe that we've done justice. We've done justice to that point. Ladies and gentlemen, another thing, they asked us the question that we should give them an example of non-Islamic countries that are actually ban alcohol, and those problems, crime related problems are still not there. We have example of Belarus and Malaysia. These countries, you cannot call them Islamic countries because there are also mixed religions in those countries. They ban the consumption of alcohol entirely, and those problems have escalated entirely. So with all the points and the justification that we brought through our policy to the end of this debate, incredibly proud to propose.
Thank you very much. You can now shake hands on camera and we'll call this a day. Please.
Like that.